A little baby chick will tweet when it's hungry. Little tiny baby chicks will tweet at their mother to get her attention and let her know that they're hungry. Richard Dawkins wrote about this in his book, The Selfish Gene, and he was talking about evolutionary biology, but when I read it, I immediately thought of us, you and me, all those tweets we send out on Twitter. What are you hungry for? Why are you tweeting? You baby chicks. You're hungry. That's why you're tweeting. What are you hungry for? Hungry for someone to hear your opinion? Hungry for a platform? Maybe you're hungry because you're outraged and you want someone to hear your yells of anger. Maybe you're hungry for revenge, hungry for justice. Ultimately, whatever you're hungry for, looking at Twitter, it's very apparent y'all are starving. Look, I don't care what religion you are, and I don't care if you're a devout atheist. Everybody's heard of the golden rule. Treat others as you would want to be treated. Taken to further extremes, it's been said, love thy neighbor as I love thyself. Well, naturally, put that way, you have to ask, how can I love my neighbor when I don't know how I love myself? How do we love ourselves? Well, we don't. If you're being honest with yourself, and I'm being honest right now too, we don't love ourselves unless you're some type of narcissist. We ultimately wish good on ourselves. Let me dive into this, please stay with me. You know, if you're being honest, being crucially and deadly honest with yourself, all of the atrocities you've committed, all this, quote unquote sins, all the wrongs you've done, the times you've hurt people, and if you don't, think about all the times you've had to say sorry. Those were it. Those were the times that you did wrong. We're aware of those. And we don't hate ourselves if we're not, mentally unhealthy. We hate the actions. We don't hate the person. We hate the actions. And ultimately, I think if you're being honest with yourself as well, you wish good on the person, i.e. you. You wish and you hope for a day where goodness will reign. Despite all the atrocities despite all the mishaps you've done, you hope and you look forward to and you aim at a day where you might be good, where you might do good, where you might do well. Why isn't it the same for our enemies? Why isn't it the same for our neighbors? It should be. Why isn't it the same for Liam Neeson, if you're keeping up with the news on what he's done? And that's ultimately what he was doing. That's what he was trying to say was, I'm appalled by how I thought, but I still hope for good, and I've changed since then. He's able to look back at it and say, that wasn't me. But you guys want to destroy him. You want to feed this witch hunt. Why isn't it the same for the Virginian governor and lieutenant governor and whoever's next in line? All of them have messed up. All of them have done bad things. Why don't we show the same forgiveness and grace that we do ourselves to them? For liberals, why isn't it the same for hard right? For conservatives, why don't you look at radical left the same way? For Palestinians, why can't we do this with Israelis? And Israelis, why can't we do this with Palestinians? Twitter is slowly, but every day more increasing with speed, becoming the universe of hatred. And we can't get caught up in it, and we can't start to revel in our hatred. We can't start to enjoy it. We can't start to want it. Those are the steps and the beginnings to us becoming devils ourselves, and for this society to go down a path that is very dark, not one that's good for us. You ultimately look at it this way. When you see something in the news about your political enemies or about someone you deem as other than yourself an enemy or outside your group, and you hear of an atrocity they committed, do you celebrate it? Then do you find out if maybe it wasn't the truth, or that it wasn't the whole story, or it wasn't nearly as bad as you thought it was? Do you have a sigh of relief? Or do you feel a little bit of disappointment? You feel a little let down that they're not as evil as you thought they were in that moment. If it's the second option, if you feel a little bit of letdown from that, you're down a very dark path internally for yourself. And I'm saying all this to help us all individually in an aim to help you, because all these tweets, all these calls for hunger they fall on deaf ears where you've been going thus far, because you're not going to find any real sustenance that will last, any real substance that will last you long and nourish you on Twitter, on social media, in this political media sphere. All right?